To open the pre-flight panel, in order to check your project to make sure that everything is ready to go, you need to go to the window menu, choose Output, and then Pre-flight. When you launch the pre-flight panel, you'll see that there's a profile, and the profile says Basic Working. That's the default InDesign pre-flight that's going to check for those three things that we talked about in the previous video. If you were to save a preset for very specific settings for a project that you maybe have over and over again, you would be able to choose that preset from that drop-down. But again, we don't learn about creating pre-flight presets in InDesign. We learn about it in the Advanced InDesign class. If you're interested in that, it's under the Edit menu, so you can go to the Edit menu and you can create pre-flight presets. Once you see that there are issues on the pre-flight panel, that's when you have to start kind of taking them out one by one and saying, okay, what's the issue, how do I fix it, etc. One of the benefits of this panel is that if you click on a specific instance of an error, the bottom half or the info part of the panel will tell you what the problem is, and it will suggest how to fix it. Now, you don't always want to fix it the exact way it's telling you, because there's always kind of multiple ways to approach the same situation, but it can kind of help you. If you don't know how to fix it, then it can push you in the right direction to fixing the problem. And so the first thing you need to do is you need to identify that there are issues, and in this case there are 7 in this example. There are link issues, which we know are pictures, and there are text issues, and if you hit the little drop down arrow you can expand it. Whenever you see a page number in the bottom right hand corner, that means it's showing you a specific instance of a problem. So none of the first 3 lines here are telling you a specific instance. It's kind of an overview, it's a category of problem, but once I get to where it says text frame and it has a number 3 on it, you can click the 3 and it will take you to page 3 and it will highlight where the problem is at. But also if I select text frame from the top half of the pre-flight panel, the bottom info part will highlight and it will explain what the problem is. If your info is not showing and this arrow is pointing to the right instead of down, you always have to hit it to expand the panel so that you can see the bottom half of the panel. And so in this case, the problem that we have is that there's overset text of 16 characters, so there's 16 letters or spaces that don't fit in the text frame on page 3. And to fix it, it's telling us to resize the text frame, make it bigger so you can see all the text, or edit the text so that it fits within the frame, so delete some of the words that you're using, change the size of the text, change the typeface, etc. until it all fits. And then in addition, you could also add multiple text frames, and then you could thread them from one frame to another. Now we won't cover that until Module 4. It's more of an advanced or an intermediate task to do. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just make the box bigger, because then we can see all the text that we want. Now sometimes you can edit the text to make it fit. You can make it smaller, you can delete some words, you can change the typeface so that it's a skinnier typeface, etc. On this slide, you can see that there are also picture or link errors, and so these are actual screenshots of the project that you will be doing for Project 1. And it has pictures, and all the links are broken. InDesign doesn't know where to find the pictures, and if you expand where it says links, it will say that the problem you have are missing links, or down here it says there's modified links. If you expand where it says missing links, in this example, it's telling us that assignment 1d.tif and assignment 1e.tif are missing. And then it says it again, assignment 1d.tif and assignment 1e.tif, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why would it tell us the same image twice? If we look on the right-hand column of the pre-flight panel, assignment 1, D, and E are on page 1, and they're also on page 5 and page 6. And so the same image is used multiple times throughout the document. And so I have a broken link or a missing link error on page 1 for assignment 1d.tif, and I also have that same error on page 5 because the same image is missing, so it's missing in the entire project. And because it's on page 1 and page 5, I'll get 2 errors. But once I relink it, I should be able to get rid of both of those errors at one time. On the right-hand image over here, you'll see that I also expanded the modified links. There are 2. And what that is telling me is that I've changed the file. So assignment 1b.tif is not missing. They know where to find it. But somehow, after I put it into my project in InDesign, I opened that file maybe in Photoshop and I changed the color mode, or I edited the file in some way. And a modified link will say, are you sure you wanted to make those changes? You have to accept those and say, yes, I meant to make them, or no, I did not mean to make them, so I'll go back to the original file. You can also confirm this by reading the bottom half of your pre-flight panel. So on the left here, assignment 1 e.tiff on page 1, it says the problem is that the linked file is missing, and to fix it, you're going to use the links panel, and you're going to use the relink button. You're basically going to say, okay, InDesign, you don't know where to find this picture, but I do, and I'm going to show you exactly where that file is and where to find it, and I want you to relink it. On the right-hand side, where it says it's modified, the problem says that the linked file has changed and the link needs to be updated. So to fix it, you are also going to use the links panel, and you're going to use the update button to bring the link up to date. Basically, you can double click on it. You'll have a yellow triangle. You can double click on it to accept the changes if you're okay with the changes that were made. But you should always double check to make sure that's true. In addition to automated pre-flighting, there's also some manual pre-flighting that I would like you to get in the habit of doing in this class. And so you're always going to check for missing, modified, and broken links, but that's an automated process. In addition, you're going to check that the images are all the right color mode, the right size, and the right resolution for your output. Now, we're not going to use pictures until Module 6 when we do our wildlife poster, so you don't have to worry about that right now. But InDesign's not going to check to make sure your images are cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, CMYK color mode. They're not going to make sure that your 4-inch by 4-inch square image is actually 4 inches by 4 inches. They're not going to make sure that your printing resolution is set to 300, etc. Because it doesn't know that that's what you want, because you could be prepping your project for digital output, which would have a different color mode, a different size, and a different resolution for your project. And so what we're going to do is we're going to manually check those things. And so when we get to Module 6 and we start talking about the wildlife poster that you're going to work on, note other teachers may not be using the wildlife poster, so just insert whatever they decide to use for their formatting, images, lecture, project, etc. So you're going to check that manually. You also need to make sure that all the colors that you're using in your project are the right color mode. Are they spot colors or are they process colors? Now that doesn't make any sense right now, I imagine, but you will know what that means when we cover that next I think we cover that in Lecture 2, either Lecture 2 or 3. But there are specific color modes and specific formats for your colors if you're going to be printing something versus outputting it digitally. And again, InDesign doesn't know what you want to do, so you're going to check that manually, and you're going to do that via the swatches panel. And then other things are all the colors that you used in your project listed on the swatches panel. Do you have any swatches that are on the swatches panel that you're not using? So you need to delete any unused swatches. So I said in one of the earlier videos that you don't want to give somebody 400 fonts if you're only using one font, because it's just going to confuse them. They're going to say, well, where are the other 399 fonts? Where are you using them? Why are you giving them to me? The same thing happens with images. Don't give them more images than you're using. And colors. You can save colors that you're using on your swatches panel. But if you save them, especially if you save them as spot colors, which we will learn about, and you're not actually using them in your project, you're going to delay the time that it takes for someone to finish outputting your project, whether that's printing or some digital means, because they're going to look at your swatches panel and say, okay, they've got 6 spot colors, but I only see 4 in the project. Why do they have these other 2 spot colors? And they're going to spend time trying to figure out where you're using those colors in your project. And so if you're not using colors, delete them from your swatches panel. It's actually super easy. In the top right-hand corner of the swatches panel, there is what is called the options flyout menu. It's a series of horizontal lines. And if you click on it, it expands a little flyout menu. And one of the options is to select all the unused swatches. And then another option is to delete all of the ones that you've selected, and then you can just delete all the unused swatches right away. You don't have to worry about that right now. We will learn about that when we learn about color. And then last but not least, you will want to remove any unused fonts. If you go to package your project and you know you're using 3 fonts and it tells you you're using 12, you, as the person who created the file, should go back and figure out where you've used those fonts and get rid of them so that you're not passing that along to somebody else. It goes along the same wavelengths of giving whoever you're giving your files to organized, easy to understand files. Don't give them what they don't need, and anything you give them beyond what they need is just increasing your chance that something's going to go wrong.